Nobody expected the loudest voice in the courtroom to disappear in less than 30 seconds. The woman who had mocked Judge Judy with a smirk and a laugh walked in believing she could bully everyone. By the time the first piece of evidence hit the monitor, that smile had vanished, and before the hearing was over, she would lose $75,000 she never imagined was at risk. If honesty still deserves a win, you're in the right place. Tell me where you're watching from before we begin. 3 weeks earlier, Emma Brooks never imagined she'd end up in television court. She was 34, a single mother, and owned a tiny bakery in Riverside, California. The bakery wasn't famous. It wasn't trendy. But every morning before sunrise, she unlocked the front door while her 8-year-old son, Noah, finished homework at one of the corner tables before school. Life wasn't easy, but it was honest. Emma believed that if she worked hard enough, things would eventually get better. Then Karen Whitmore walked through her bakery door. Karen wasn't just another customer. She arrived wearing expensive jewelry, oversized sunglasses, and enough confidence to fill the entire room. Behind her followed 2 women carrying shopping bags and recording everything on their phones. Karen loved attention. She expected it everywhere. She ordered nearly 200 custom desserts for her daughter's engagement party. Luxury cupcakes, decorated cookies, a 7-tier cake, handmade pastries. The total came to almost $12,000. Emma explained her policy carefully. Half is due today, the rest is due when you pick everything up. Karen barely looked up. Oh, sweetheart, she laughed, do I look like someone who doesn't pay? She flashed a platinum credit card. The deposit cleared instantly. Emma smiled. Everything seemed normal. For the next 2 weeks, Emma barely slept. She hired temporary workers, bought premium ingredients, turned down 3 other large orders. Every dollar she had went into Karen's event. Her employees joked that this single order could finally help replace their agging ovens. Emma believed them. Then the morning of pickup arrived. Karen entered 20 minutes late. She glanced across the tables filled with elegant desserts. Her expression didn't show excitement. Instead, she frowned. This isn't what I wanted. Emma blinked. I'm sorry. The roses are the wrong shade. Emma looked confused. They match the sample photo you approved. Karen crossed her arms. I changed my mind. Emma gently reminded her. The designs were approved in writing. Karen shrugged. Not my problem. Then she did something no one expected. She snapped her fingers toward her assistant. Load everything. Emma stepped forward. I'm sorry, but the remaining balance has to be paid first. Karen laughed loudly enough for every customer to hear. Oh, please. You own a bakery, not a bank. The room became silent. Emma stayed calm. I can't release the order without payment. Karen leaned closer. You think I'm stealing cupcakes? No. I think our agreement needs to be completed. Karen suddenly raised her voice. Everyone, listen to this. This little baker thinks I'm trying to rob her. Several customers turned around. Phones came out. Karen smiled as if she enjoyed the attention. You know who I am? Emma quietly answered. No. I own Whitmore Luxury Events. I've planned parties for celebrities. I'll destroy your business with one review. Emma felt her stomach tighten. She had seen customers leave bad reviews before. But Karen sounded serious. Emma still refused to hand over the desserts. Karen looked at one of her assistants. Take the cake. The assistant hesitated. Emma stepped between them. I'm calling the police. Karen rolled her eyes. For cake. Before anyone could react, Karen pulled out her phone. She opened the bakery's business page. Then she began typing. 1 star. Another. Another. Within minutes, several new accounts flooded the page with terrible reviews. Dirty kitchen. Rude owner. Food poisoning. None of it was true. Emma stared at her phone as notifications exploded. Her rating dropped dramatically. Customers started canceling future orders before lunch. Karen smiled. There. Now let's see who wins. She walked away without the desserts. Emma stood frozen. The police eventually arrived. Since no property had been taken, they documented the incident and left. Emma believed the nightmare was over. She was wrong. The next morning, every dessert from her bakery appeared online. Photos, videos, the exact cake she had refused to release. Someone had recreated nearly every design for Karen's engagement party. Karen proudly posted pictures claiming another bakery had saved the event after Emma failed. The problem: several decorations in those photos were unique. Tiny handcrafted sugar flowers that Emma alone had made. Even a hidden signature pattern beneath the cake's middle tier. Someone had copied or stolen her work. Customers became confused. Some accused Emma of lying. Others believed she'd fabricated the entire confrontation for publicity. Within 10 days, her bakery lost almost 40% of its bookings. Bills piled up. Employees worried about layoffs. Emma cried only once. Late at night, after Noah had fallen asleep in the apartment above the bakery. She looked around the quiet kitchen and wondered whether years of hard work were ending because one wealthy woman enjoyed humiliating people. Then her phone rang. It was her longtime friend, Daniel. He had been a commercial photographer for years. His voice sounded unusually serious. Emma, I think I found something. What? I was hired to photograph Karen's engagement party. Emma sat upright. You were there? Yes. And I noticed something strange. Daniel paused. I don't think another bakery made those desserts. Emma's heart skipped. What are you saying? I think your desserts were at that party. Emma couldn't breathe. That's impossible. Daniel answered quietly. I have hundreds of high-resolution photos. And one of them may prove exactly what happened. Emma stared at the dark bakery around her. If Daniel was right, Karen hadn't just ruined her reputation. She may have taken everything she refused to pay for. And that single photograph was about to start a legal battle neither woman would ever forget. Daniel arrived at Emma's bakery before sunrise. He carried a hard case instead of his usual camera bag. His face told Emma this wasn't just a friendly visit. This stays between us until we know exactly what we're looking at, he said. Emma locked the front door. Noah was still asleep upstairs, and the bakery was quiet except for the humming refrigerators. Daniel opened his laptop. I photographed Karen's daughter's engagement party from start to finish. He clicked through hundreds of images. Guests laughing. Champagne glasses. A string quartet. The massive dessert table. Emma's heart sank. At first glance, Karen had been telling the truth. The party had happened exactly as shown online. Another bakery's logo appeared on several dessert trays. So I was wrong, Emma whispered. Daniel shook his head. Keep watching. He zoomed into one photo. Then another. Then another. Emma leaned closer. There, tucked beneath a row of decorated cookies, was a tiny blue ribbon tied in a double loop. Emma froze. I used that ribbon. Daniel nodded. I know. No other bakery. Not that I've seen. Emma swallowed hard. She had ordered those ribbons from a small craft shop in Oregon because they matched her bakery's colors perfectly. They weren't sold locally. Daniel clicked again. Another close-up. Hidden beneath the lowest layer of the wedding cake was a tiny sugar butterfly. Emma smiled despite herself. I made that by hand. Daniel looked at her. Can anyone else? Not exactly. She pointed to one wing. I always press my thumbnail here before the sugar hardens. A tiny curved mark was visible. Most people would never notice it. Emma noticed immediately. It was her work. Daniel wasn't finished. He enlarged another image. One of the servers was carrying a tray toward the ballroom. On the side of the cardboard transport box, Emma's bakery logo, partially covered with tape. Someone had tried to hide it, but not completely. Emma's hands started shaking. They used my boxes. Daniel slowly nodded. I think someone picked up your order after you called the police. Emma frowned. That's impossible. I never released it. Daniel hesitated. Then someone else did. Emma checked every employee's work schedule from that day. Everyone had gone home after the police left, except one person. Jake, a temporary delivery driver hired only for Karen's event. Emma called him immediately. Straight to voicemail. She tried again. Nothing. Then she searched the hiring paperwork. The address he listed didn't exist. The driver's license number belonged to someone else. Jake had vanished. Emma stared at the paperwork. He planned this. Daniel looked thoughtful. Maybe. But I don't think he planned it alone. 2 days later, Emma's attorney, Lisa Chen, filed a civil lawsuit. Breach of contract. Business defamation. Conversion of property. Lost income. The complaint asked for damages totaling $75,000. Not because the desserts were worth that much, but because Emma had documented weeks of cancelled orders, spoiled inventory, payroll losses, and reputational harm. Karen's response arrived less than 48 hours later. It was only 3 pages long. Emma expected an explanation. Instead, it was an attack. Karen claimed Emma was incompetent. She claimed the desserts had been discarded because they failed inspection. She denied ever receiving them. She denied threatening reviews. She denied everything. At the bottom was one sentence. Plaintiff is attempting to exploit my public reputation for financial gain. Emma felt sick. She's making me look like the scammer. Lisa stayed calm. That's exactly what experienced defendants do. Karen wasn't worried. She went on social media every day. She posted shopping videos, vacation clips, luxury dinners. She even joked during a live stream. You know you've made it when people sue you just because they're jealous. Thousands laughed. Emma watched in silence. Every comment felt like another stone being dropped on her shoulders. Then something unexpected happened. A woman named Monica emailed Emma. The subject line read, I think she did this to me too. Emma opened it immediately. Monica owned a florist 2 towns away. Her story sounded painfully familiar. Karen had ordered expensive floral arrangements, complained at pickup, refused final payment, then blasted the business with negative reviews. Monica eventually gave up because the legal costs were too high. I couldn't prove anything, Monica wrote. But maybe you can. Attached were screenshots, messages, invoices, even voice recordings. Karen sounded polite in writing, very different in person. Emma realized something. Karen wasn't impulsive. She had a pattern. Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. Patterns matter, but we still need direct evidence. Daniel looked at the photos again. I wish I had something stronger. Emma sighed. So do I. Just then Daniel's phone buzzed. He answered. His expression changed instantly. What? He stood up. Are you serious? He hung up and looked at Emma. The television court producer called. Emma blinked. What producer? The one I sent the photos to. You what? I submitted your case last week. Emma stared at him in disbelief. You never told me. I didn't want to get your hopes up. Lisa folded her arms. And Daniel smiled. They want both of you. Karen accepted almost immediately. She loved cameras. She loved audiences even more. She posted online. Some baker wants television fame. Fine, I'll embarrass her on national TV. Emma nearly backed out. I've never even been inside a courtroom. Lisa placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You don't need to perform. You only need to tell the truth. The day before filming, the producers called with final instructions. Bring every contract, every invoice, every photo, every text message, every receipt. Nothing could be left behind. Emma packed everything into 3 neat binders. As she closed the last one, Noah walked into the kitchen. Mom. Yes. Are you scared? Emma smiled honestly. A little. He hugged her. You always tell me the truth wins. She kissed the top of his head. I hope I'm right. The next morning, Emma entered the studio. The courtroom looked smaller than she expected. The audience whispered as cameras moved into place. Karen was already there. She wore a bright designer suit and expensive pearls. She laughed loudly with 2 friends in the gallery as though she were attending a fashion show instead of a legal hearing. The moment Emma walked in, Karen smirked. You actually came. Emma didn't answer. Karen leaned closer. I hope you enjoy losing twice. A production assistant stepped forward. They're ready. The courtroom doors opened. Everyone stood. A calm voice echoed across the room. All rise. Judge Judy had arrived. But before she could even sit down, Karen rolled her eyes, laughed under her breath, and muttered something just loud enough for the front row to hear. 3 audience members immediately turned their heads. Judge Judy slowly looked up, without saying a single word. And somehow, the room suddenly felt 10 degrees colder. No one spoke. The courtroom doors opened. All rise. Judge Judy walked in, took her seat, and quietly looked over the case file. She hadn't asked a single question yet, but the room was already silent. Then she looked at Karen. I understand there was a disagreement over a bakery order. Karen smiled confidently. A disagreement, more like a terrible bakery trying to blame me. Judge Judy didn't react. Ms. Brooks, your side. Emma calmly explained everything. The custom order. The signed approval. The unpaid balance. The fake reviews. The cancelled bookings that nearly destroyed her bakery. She never raised her voice. When she finished, Judge Judy asked only one question. Do you have proof? Yes. Lisa handed over neatly organized binders filled with contracts, invoices, receipts, and screenshots. Judge Judy flipped through them. Excellent records. Then she turned to Karen. Your response. Karen stood with complete confidence. The desserts weren't acceptable. I refused them. I never received them. Judge Judy wrote a note. So you're saying none of your guests were served Ms. Brooks' desserts? That's correct. Very well. Lisa called Daniel, the event photographer. He connected his camera files to the courtroom monitor. The first few pictures showed the engagement party. Nothing unusual. Then he zoomed in. One bakery box had Emma's logo hidden beneath a strip of tape. Another image showed Emma's signature sugar butterfly on the wedding cake. Karen laughed. That proves nothing. Judge Judy remained calm. Keep going. Daniel displayed another photo. A polished serving tray reflected a catering van parked behind the venue. Emma's bakery name could clearly be seen on its side. Corinne's smile faded. Before she could explain, Lisa called another witness. Monica, a local florist. She described almost the same experience. Corinne placed a large order, refused to pay, then left false reviews when challenged. Corinne interrupted. She's lying. Judge Judy looked at her. You'll get your turn. Monica then played an old voicemail. Corinne's voice filled the courtroom. Businesses like yours should be grateful I even walk through the door. Judge Judy looked back at Corinne. Is that your voice? Corinne hesitated. Oh yes. The courtroom grew even quieter. Lisa stood once more. Your Honor, we'd like to submit one final piece of evidence. Daniel removed a memory card from his camera. It contains every original photo from the event. As the files loaded onto the courtroom monitor, Corinne's confident expression suddenly disappeared. She leaned toward her attorney and whispered, "That picture wasn't supposed to exist." Judge Judy looked up immediately. What picture? Daniel opened the next image. Emma stared at the screen. Corinne turned completely pale. Judge Judy calmly said, I believe we're about to find out. The courtroom fell silent as the final photograph appeared on the screen. At first, it looked ordinary. Judge Judy leaned forward. Zoom in. Daniel enlarged the image. A man was loading bakery boxes into a catering van. Emma recognized him instantly. That's Jake, the temporary driver I hired. Corinne crossed her arms. I've never seen him. Judge Judy simply nodded. Let's keep going. Daniel opened another photo taken less than a minute later. This time, Jake was standing beside Corinne. They were smiling. Corinne was handing him a thick envelope. Cash, Judge Judy asked. Corinne shrugged. It could be anything. It certainly could, Judge Judy replied. Next photo. The courtroom monitor changed again. Emma's custom wedding cake sat inside one of her original transport boxes. Even the bakery's inventory tag was still attached. Judge Judy looked directly at Corinne. You testified that you never received these desserts. Corinne hesitated. I didn't personally pick them up. But someone acting for you did. Corinne had no answer. Lisa then handed the bailiff a printed email. Judge Judy read it aloud. Jake, if she refuses to release the order, wait until the police leave. Corinne's face lost all color. I never sent that. Lisa calmly replied, our forensic report confirms it came from your phone. Corinne's attorney lowered his head. He hadn't seen the email before. Corinne suddenly laughed and pointed at Judge Judy. You're making a fool of yourself over cupcakes. The audience gasped. Judge Judy didn't react. She looked at the courtroom clock. 30 seconds. Everyone waited. A courtroom technician quickly approached with a recovered high-resolution image. Judge Judy turned the screen toward the courtroom. The enhanced photo clearly showed the envelope Corinne handed Jake. Part of the paper inside was visible. One sentence could be read perfectly. Pick up Brooks Bakery order after police leave. Corinne's confidence vanished. Judge Judy calmly closed the file. You didn't lose this case because of cupcakes. You lost it because every lie led to another piece of evidence. She looked at both attorneys. I'm ready to rule. Emma held her breath. Corinne stared at the table, knowing exactly what was coming. The courtroom remained completely silent. Judge Judy looked at Corinne for several seconds before speaking. Ms. Whitmore, this case was never about a cake. It was about trust. She held up the contract. You placed the order. She lifted the design approval. You approved every detail. Then she picked up the enlarged photograph. And despite telling this court you rejected the desserts, the evidence proves they were collected for your event. Corinne slowly shook her head. I didn't tell anyone to steal them. Judge Judy calmly held up the printed email. You didn't have to. You instructed someone to wait until the police left, collect the order, and avoid paying for it. She placed the email beside the photograph. Together, these documents tell one very clear story. Karen looked down at the table. For the first time all day, she had no explanation. Judge Judy continued. Then you made matters worse. You published false reviews. You damaged a small business. And you expected your money and influence to protect you from the truth. She turned toward Emma. Ms. Brooks, you didn't come here asking for sympathy. You came with contracts, receipts, photographs, emails, and financial records. That's what wins cases. Emma felt tears forming in her eyes, but remained silent. Judge Judy looked back at Karen. You, on the other hand, came with excuses. You changed your story more than once. Every time new evidence appeared, your version of events changed. That tells me everything I need to know. Karen suddenly stood. This is unfair. I was unhappy with the order. Judge Judy raised one hand. If that were true, you could have rejected the order legally. What you cannot do is secretly use someone's work, refuse to pay for it, and then try to destroy their reputation. Karen slowly sat back down. The confidence she had walked into court with was completely gone. Judge Judy picked up her pen. My judgment is for the plaintiff. I award Emma Brooks the full $75,000 in damages. A wave of whispers spread through the courtroom. Emma covered her mouth. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. Karen stared straight ahead. Her attorney quietly closed his notebook. The case was over. Judge Judy signed the judgment. Then she looked at Karen one final time. There's an important lesson here. Respect isn't something you buy. And the truth doesn't become a lie simply because you speak louder. She tapped the file closed. Case closed. The gavel struck once. Outside the courthouse, reporters rushed toward both women. Karen ignored every question and hurried into a waiting SUV without saying a word. The same woman who had threatened to ruin Emma's business now refused to face a single camera. Emma stepped outside a few moments later. She wasn't smiling. She simply thanked her attorney, Daniel, and everyone who had stood by her. A week later, customers began returning to Brooks Bakery. Many admitted they had believed the fake reviews until they saw the courtroom hearing. Former clients apologized. New orders filled the calendar faster than Emma had imagined. Within months, she rehired the employees she had been forced to let go and finally purchased the commercial ovens she had been saving for. One evening, Noah looked around the busy bakery and smiled. I guess the truth really won. Emma wrapped an arm around his shoulder. It did. But only because we never stopped fighting for it. If you believe honesty should always have the final word, don't forget to like this video. Subscribe for more unforgettable courtroom stories where justice always finds its way.